beat, but just take my hand. Follow my lead, we might skip a few steps, but we're still on beat. Ooh, you know I got the rhythm. I know you like my rhythm. Dance to the beat out, and dance to my rhythm. One in a million, a billion, hakuna mwenye ananijazia moyo. Weni pili pili ile kali naila, umeniwasha ndani ya roho. My heart is beating, and your heart is beating. Dance to the beat out, let's dance to the rhythm. It's just you and me on the floor. Me na member. DJ played some more. Oh, one night to remember, yeah. Till the dawn breaks, till we see another day. Know I got the rhythm. I know you like my rhythm. And dance to my rhythm. I am the cocky and 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 yeah. I am the cocky and I am the cocky and I am the cocky and yeah. This one's for you, especially for you. You might think you don't know how to dance, but you know how to move. So throw your hands in the air like this. Oh yeah, blow it up in the air like this. Kaenda kakienda, kakienda, tuende tukienda, tukienda. Kaenda kakigo, kakienda, kaenda kakienda, tuende tukienda. Till the song fades, till we see the sun again, baby. I got the rhythm, you got the rhythm. I got the rhythm, you got the.
They always see my faults. Walk through the fire, I stand tall, I'm a fortress. Call me your highness, that's the only title that fits. It's unfortunate they can't all see where I should be. Put my heart in it, I'm the villain, all of them can see. My house, my rules, play the game or you get the boot. It's unfortunate they can't all see where I should be. Meadows, the winner, is the only thing I'll ever be. Number one defeater, can't you tell I'm just so hard to beat? Walk through the fire, I stand tall, I'm a fortress. Call me a highness, that's the only title that fits. It's unfortunate they can't all see where I should be. Put my heart in it, I'm the villain, all of them can't see. My house, my rules, play the game or you get the boot. It's unfortunate they can't all see. It's unfortunate they can't all see where I should be. Put my heart in it, I'm the villain, all of them can see. My house, my rules, play the game or you get the boot. It's unfortunate they can't all see where I should be. Cast a stone at me if you believe you are perfect. Your life's a mess, but you just pick on me to fill you with it. Pathetic, you'll regret it. Mark my words just as I speak, baby. You mean nothing to me. You mean nothing to me. You mean nothing. It's unfortunate they can't all see where I should be. Put my heart in it, I'm the villain, all of them can't see. My house, my rules, play the game or you get the boot. It's unfortunate they can't all see where I should be.
How the party I look so, how the party I look so good in my dress. If you wanna look so, sipping on elixir, spin me yeah, DJ on a mixer. Nah nah nah, watch how we murder them like rah rah rah. We come so far, praise to the Most High, kumbaya. Hit the moto, Nairobi to Lesotho. Act like you know, see me on the dance floor.
Kijana machachari tena hodari, kama vitu ni kali hakuna swali, vitu nafanya ili nipate mali. Mbwa akikimbiza mkia atasikia dizi, na nyani akianza kulia pewa ndizi, na ngoma ikigonga ni chini kwa chini, chini kwa chini, chini kwa chini. What do I know? Fighting the fire with pride, always be taking this high. What do I see? Sky is the limit for me, they cannot take that away. Kama kushine na shine na wow, kama kutupa kitupa mbao. Haba na jaza kibaba, hapo vipi, hapo fresh, come on.
I'm feeling it, you feeling it, nah nah nah. I'm feeling it, you feeling it, nah nah nah. Cause we on fire, DJ spark up the lighter, music taking me higher. I'm feeling it, you feeling it, I'm feeling it, you feeling it, nah nah nah. I'm feeling it, you feeling it, nah nah nah. Cause we on fire, DJ spark up the lighter, music taking me higher. I'm feeling it, you feeling it. First of all, you look mad as hell. You can't tell the way I'm doing well. You can't tell the way I'm gonna sell. You can't kiss my ass and go to hell. You can't see my life looking like a picture, looking like the bigger, better sister to your Insta. Looking at my time, everything I mind, looking for a sign, feeling on my mind. What's on my raps? Oh many my bus, oh many collabo. We can't even snaps. Now my hashtags, they can't even touch. Say many ni me mother tend to be one side. First of all, you look mad as hell. You can't tell the way I'm doing well. You can't tell the way I'm gonna sell. You can't kiss my ass and go to hell. I'm feeling it, you feeling it, nah nah nah. I'm feeling it, you feeling it,
Life is a woman speaking to her, and she will become. She likes the sweet things, apples and berries, but only when the season is right. Some days she's breathing fire, take her slow, don't give up on her. If I am a fool, I will not listen. There have been many of us, I won't be the first. Kele tu, edukesie mama, mwana sao. Edukesie tata, boy nene, neti bamara, Snapchat generation. Edukesie tata, yeah yeah. Edukesie tata, edukesie tata, edukesie tata, edukesie tata. My father told me, this is not funny. I am a man, talking and sit up. I have a duty, I am to carry the family name he has carried so long. There is no status, no name too great than your father's name. If you want to know the nature of a man, look how he carries his father's name. Kele tu, edukesie mama, mwana sa. Edukesie tata, boy nene, neti bamana, Snapchat generation. Edukesie tata, kele tu, edukesie mama, mwana sa. Edukesie tata, boy nene, neti bamana, Snapchat generation. Edukesie tata, edukesie tata, edukesie tata, edukesie tata.
Hello, how are you guys doing today? Please, you gotta excuse my voice because flu ya Nairobi imenishika. But I hope you guys are doing really well this weekend. It's another long weekend. Yani, we've been blessed as Kenyans. What? And it's another long weekend coming through. I hope you guys are gonna enjoy yourself and also make sure you're staying warm. Cause guys, damn, I'm suffering. Because actually this morning it was so hard for me to wake up. I had taken some medication for my flu and a slight cough that I had developed, and let me tell you, waking up this morning was a struggle. And I work on Saturdays, by the way, but I was just like, no, let me deal with other things right now. Let me tell you something, it's been woof. And guys, let's just get back to the way we used to sneeze. No more sneezing in people's faces, because this colds that we keep getting every time at flu za Nairobi, za sijui wapi, we gotta stop it. We need to now start sneezing with with some formula. Yes, if you want to join me on my live, it's Mental Health _ by Anastasia.ke, and coming at you live from Radio 254 is Mental Health by Anastasia. Wagwan. Today we're gonna have a lot to talk about, but as per usual, I gotta play for you guys some good music. As you were listening to Kaende by Fenagitu, I even introduced a new song to my playlist. For those who follow my playlist very well, you'll see that I've added a few more songs, and this is because last night when I couldn't sleep because I had a small fever somewhere,
I came across a TikTok, and it was a girl advertising her music, and I was listening to the music, but I didn't know she was a Kenyan artist, and I was like crossing my fingers, like, I hope this is a Kenyan artist. I hope so. So, you know, the way you find good content and you go on a bender on like watching everything, and you're like, oh, let me just scroll through all her content and see, and oh my gosh, her music is amazing. Her name is Kishe, and that was the second song I was playing, called Villain by Kishe, and let me tell you, her music is grand. You know, those, you know, you beautiful ladies who are going through your villain era and you feel like supporting Kenya, go to her Spotify and follow her right now as we speak. But yeah, it's kind of nice finding new music that I can add to my alternative playlist or my rock music, because it kind of helps me, you know, I get very excited because I don't have to stick to my usual music. I can play something new every every time I come to the show, and I'm so excited to have found her. I'm going to be playing a lot of her music. So if you're hearing something new to those religious followers that I have, please enjoy and have fun. And for those who are just tuning in, it's Mental Health by Anastasia. Today we are talking about Kenyan corporate culture. Ooh, damn, it is another way for you to get character development, I'm telling you. But before we talk about that, of course, we gotta jam, we gotta get into the mood. I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. It's a say by Manasseh Shalom. Enjoy.
Kana kakwa, bye bye.
Alone in the dark. No, we had that spark. I know you miss me, miss me, miss me, miss me, miss me. Not only when you're tipsy, 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 tipsy. Ecstasy. That was your ecstasy. I know I made you happy, 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 happy. That was your ecstasy, ecstasy. Said you don't matter on your own, but every time I get a drunk call, I'm saying I can have it anywhere I want. Said you moved on, but it's me that you stuck on. You cannot replace me. You say I sound crazy, but you know we kinda vibe, but you wanna patronize me. I don't take it personally. You'll always come back to me, back to me. Alone in the dark. No, we had that spark. I know you miss me, miss me, miss me, miss me, miss me. Not only when you're tipsy, 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 tipsy. Ecstasy. That was your ecstasy. I know I made you happy, 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 happy. That was your ecstasy.
Don't be sorry. Epiko wapi leta mo. We believe in la vida loca right here. Moto inawaka sa joto na pe. I wish ungesikia vile mimi nasikia. We believe in la vida loca right here. Kipopo lazima tukeshe. Yani lazima tucheze. Yani lazima iweze. Igenje kuja tutese. Kipopo lazima tukeshe. Yani lazima tucheze. Yani lazima iweze. Igenje kuja tutese.
Just wanna free up my mind. Just wanna get in the vibe. Ooh, I wanna feel alive. Tonight, fanya kama this time. Just wanna free up my mind. Just wanna get in the vibe. Ooh, I wanna feel alive.
Do you feel it changing all your memories? Always screaming, invading all your thoughts and dreams. Hard to ignore it, so disappointing that you can't get out of your head. But I can help you, baby. So take my hand, I'll lead you out this maze again. Follow me, I'll help you put the fire out in your head. Trust me when I said that I'll be ready. Let those words you never say. It's amazing how friends tend to fold. That I know. It's a feeling once warm, now it's cold. So take my hand, I'll lead you out this maze again. Follow me, I'll help you put the fire out in your head. Trust me when I say that I'll be there. Let those words I never say. Was it all just in my head?
Was it all just in my head? Was it all just in my head? You're to blame, feel the pain, embrace the darkness within. You're alone, all hope is gone. Just leave I said that I'll be there, but those words were never said. Was it all just in my head? You keep calling me crazy, crazy.
Hello, and welcome back. It's Mental Health by Anastasia on Radio 254. And for those who are just joining in, today we're talking about Kenyan corporate culture and its toxicity because as I said before, it's another version of character development because I've been hearing a lot of stories and I've gone through my own fair share of being in the corporate life, and damn, it was a bit too much for me. Anyway, for those who are just tuning in, Mental Health by Anastasia, it is on Radio 254, and guys, let's talk a bit. But for those who are having a conversation with me on my IG, it's quite interesting. You can still join the convo on mentalhealth_by_anastasia.ke, and we can talk even as I play music for you guys, and we can just have a conversation behind the scenes. So today, I was just wanted to cover on my experiences in the corporate culture, what I've heard, other people's experiences, views from somebody I know who's in HR, and my own personal theories as to why we have such a weird culture. And it's not every Kenyan corporate or, international company that is in Kenya. It's just, I've had a lot of, negative stories. And as we all know, negative news sticks. Also, one more thing, I just wanted to give a shout out to Movie Jabba, who are having their game con today. If you haven't fikared, you should fika. I think they have a LAN party in the middle of the night. Nikesha Yaku game. For those people who don't know what that is, from what I was explained to, Nikesha Yaku game. So for you guys who haven't bought your tickets, I don't know if there are tickets now, but please go on ahead. You'll find a lot of cosplayers, and as you know, I'm a #1 fan of cosplaying. Please go there. I'm so sad today I couldn't make it, but there's one of these events that I'm for sure going to make it. I'm just not going to tell you because I have clients who go for these things and I don't want them to know who I am cosplaying at. But shout out to you guys, shout out to Wesley. I hope you're taking water. Today I'm on your case. And if you're listening to this now, hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having a good weekend so far. We have another long weekend because guess what, Kenyans, we are just blessed. Like, we are just allowed to just have fun, and we always say we come up with reasons to drink, but clearly the reasons come to us. Anyway, so back to Kenyan corporate culture. So the reason why this topic came to my mind was actually during the time I had come up with the topic for school, the Kenyan school culture and how toxic it is. And when I was talking about it in the last show, I realized even the Kenyan corporate culture just kept coming up, and I felt like those are tied to it. Anyway, I've had my fair share of being employed, and right now I'm self-employed. As you know, I am running my own organization called the Affordable Therapist Union, so I'm self-employed. I run a private practice with 2 other therapists, but a lot of the therapists that I know, let me say, in my generation, are just doing private practice. And let me tell you, so my first job until internship, like, I was employed. I was working for a transcription company, a Kenyan one, not the online ones where you work from home. I was working for a Kenyan one. And I was young. I was really young. I think I had just turned 18. Like, I had just gotten my ID. I had just gotten my license. I even remember I was still doing my driving school lessons and things like that, and I hadn't even gotten my license yet, and I was working for these guys. And it was I started working because I had finished high school and I had a gap year. My mom had advised me to take a gap year, and I took it without even having an issue with it because, wow, As what I told you last show, me high school was just not it. So yeah, I decided to start working in this Kenyan company, and it was nice because of my colleagues. It was one of those places where those people are so welcoming. These guys were like way older than me. I felt like such a kid, and every single colleague was like insanely nice, insanely amazing. I really miss them. I'm seeing them just, thriving in life, so I'm happy for them. But yeah, so that's what was happening. And let me tell you, the people were nice. Let me just highlight that so that I tell you guys what happened. So that was a time when, so I was 18, so that's like some time ago. I'm just not gonna say when, because it'll just out my age. Even though I know I'm not old, I'm just feeling old because we. So it was when transcription had just started, transcription and editing, and had just entered the Kenyan space, and people had just started doing editing and transcribing and article writing and things like that, and therefore it was fairly new. And for a Kenyan company, to see that and like say, okay, we're gonna dominate this space in the Kenyan, it was quite interesting. I liked the idea. However, the pay, the pay was pathetic. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. That pay was pathetic because we were paid, was it 10 shillings per transcribed audio? So essentially we're being paid a shilling a minute. Was it a shilling a minute? Yeah, it was about a shilling a minute. And in reality, you're paid $1 a minute actually. I think, yeah, as I'm saying, sorry, I'm doing two things at the same time. So, yeah, we were being paid a shilling a minute. And essentially in transcription, if you join any of these online transcription companies, they pay you between 80 cents and $1 per minute. And we were paid a shilling. So our pay was trash. And I remember the first meeting we had to discuss this because we were like, we're not making any strides or any money, and essentially we're earning about 4K a month, and we do a lot. Like I remember I used to do around how many minutes a day? How many minutes of transcribing? It was about an hour, 2 hours of transcribing a day, and it was like from 9 to 5, and sometimes there'll be low times, peak times, etc. And 2 hours of transcribing takes you about 4 to 5 hours if you're good at it, if you're like really good at transcribing. 4 to 5 hours. So that's what we're doing, like 2 hours a day. And then you come home and at the end of the month and you're being paid 4K. So we like complain, and like they increased it to like 12 bob. They increased it to 12 shillings, and I got tired. I was like, you know what? This is not worth it. Yeah, it's near my house, but honestly, it's not worth it. So I gave in my resignation. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Thank you for your help in hiring me to do. I think I stayed there for like 2 to 3 months. In the meantime, I had actually started volunteering for KSPCA. Now that one I had fun. I wasn't being paid. It was voluntary work. I was playing with dogs and washing dogs, and I was having the time of my life. After that, I didn't get employed for some time. I ended up in school, but in my second year of school, I ended up employed again. I did an internship with a school. Now, this school, I can say it because my employer was lit. Like, I really liked her. If at any point if she was going into any space where I wanted to grow my career, she would have been my mentor. So it was my school, Montessori. I was an intern teacher. And first of all, you had the option of being a full-time teacher or a part-time, but during that semester, all my classes were in the evening. So I just chose, let me do full-time. But she had a rule where you actually literally just worked 4 times a week, and then the 5th day, you work half the day, or, like for 4 hours. I think it was like 4 hours. And it was good. And when I was starting off, there was no communication on pay, so I made it known to her that I would really like some transport fare, because I was coming from home to the school to school in USIU and then back, and I was like, that transit is a lot, it's taking up my money, so I need money. And she was like, yeah, sure, cool. And she gave me cash. Like, she was like, yeah, come, this amount I'll be paying you per month for transport. Do you need and she asked me, do you need a lunch, what is it called, a lunch allowance? I told her no, because I carry my own lunch. Genuinely, I was there for the experience, because I wanted to see if I wanted to be in the education sector, and I did that for 4 months, and she was amazing. She always had my back. Her name was Bija. She always had my back. Even her secretary, She had a secretary who I also miss dearly. And the teacher who was in charge of me, her name was Mary, and even her, bless her soul, I miss her so much. That experience was actually amazing. It was the first time really that I had been in a space where my employer is listening to me and is putting, you know, actionable solutions to my problem. Like, there was no room for, you know, I even remember there was a time I got pissed off at a parent because so in the kindergarten, you're supposed to carry pampers for the kids, especially those who are not potty trained. And for some reason, this parent kept insisting that this kid is potty trained, even though we kept telling her that he's not. To make it worse, he was suffering from autism, and therefore self-expression was a bit hard. And the poor thing, whenever he'd mess himself, he'd cry because of the discomfort. Of course, you'd cry. And yeah, communication wasn't a problem. And he was the kid that was mainly assigned to me because he just liked to nini towards me. So he was the one I used to take care of. And I remember I was like so pissed off at this parent because I had spent the entire day, this kid had food poisoning, and I spent the entire day cleaning up his poop. Like, I was so pissed off. By the time, I think my boss had even allowed me to go home early. I was so mad. She was like, after lunchtime, you can just go home. It's okay. Don't worry. You've had a long day. And I was like, okay, I don't want to go home early because I need to talk to this parent. So the parent came and I said, you know, we've been telling you to pack Pampers for this kid. I don't know why you're not packing Pampers. You're the one who deals with the kid in the first place. I'm not sure why this is becoming an issue. And you know, my boss was just standing there like nodding, like, yeah, you know, butel her. And I was like, oh wow, okay, I have the support. And it was actually really nice. Now, the thing is, we all know how Kenyan offices could be. Most of the times, or from the stories I've had, you're not most likely going to get such support from people. But I had a lot of support. I left there. They even did a whole goodbye party for me and for a surprise party, and surprisingly enough I was also doing for them a surprise party, which was funny. And I left. Next place I ended up working at was when I finished my degree. I went back into transcribing because, well, did I go back to transcribing? Oh yeah, it was COVID times. Eesh. It was tough. It was COVID around 2020 deck. And yeah, it was really tough. Like, hey man, it was tough. So went back to transcribing. My boss decided to scam me out of my money. So what would happen is you'd use her account and then she'd give you a percentage from the account. I figured I had made so much more money, but she literally gave me a third of the money because of one reason or another that I don't understand. So I left. I was like, you know, I don't like being conned. I don't like this. Is not right. So I left. Next place I went to was a school because I was so excited. It was online, purely online. I miss those kids. They were highly intelligent kids. I felt like they were not being, what is it called? They weren't being thingied enough, challenged enough. Those kids were really smart. So it was purely online. Everything was done online and I loved it. My colleagues were the bomb. I miss them so much actually. I'm still in touch with 2 of them, which is kind of cool. But the environment was nice. Now, our boss, on the other hand, was of questionable character. I'm trying to be really nice today because I am sick and I don't have the energy to be angry. But she was of questionable character. We were never given any material like to work with. We always created our own. So things like what were they called? Lesson plans, curriculums, we looked for them ourselves. Books, we got them ourselves. Okay, I did, and then I used to distribute them. So I was really good at finding the books, and I distributed them. I used to send scans to, you know, the other teachers. So I was like the library because I ended up finding a lot of material like school lesson plans and things like that. And then I was also their guidance counselor for the kids, which was really nice because the kids would come and talk to me. They felt safe enough to come and talk to me, and I felt really nice because as you know, giving psychological treatment to kids for me is hard. So it was nice to see that they felt safe with me. Now, we used to do everything, like create the lessons plans from scratch, need the exams, everything. We do everything from scratch. But this is around COVID time where we had like 2 week breaks and things like that. So doing all these things was a lot of work, and we had to schedule homework, we had to mark it, make sure it doesn't go more than 48 hours without it being marked. It was so much. I used to sleep so late. And our boss was not helpful because she never used to communicate early enough. So she'd tell us, I need your lesson plans next week, like next week Friday. Like today, that's what she'd do. Like today is Saturday, she'll like WhatsApp us and be like, I need your... And they're like, why didn't you tell us this in the beginning? Like there was no decorum, there was no to-do list or anything that was told, that, given to us for us to like do this work on time, and it used to be so much pressure. And then she'd say, if you don't do the work, we're not gonna pay you. And she never even paid on time, even when you did the work. I remember I was only paid on time once. Like the first time I joined, that was the only time, like honestly, that was the only time we were paid on time. All the other times we were paid late. I remember then what made me angry is in June she decided she's not gonna pay us because we haven't worked. And that was her reason. She was like, I'm not paying you guys because you haven't worked. And we sat down and I was like, how is it we haven't worked and we've been teaching every single day? None of us miss classes. Homework has been marked. Exams have been given. So the reason why she was saying we haven't worked is because we hadn't given her the weekly reports. And we're like, those weekly reports of yours, you're going to have to choose one because there's no time. Like, we are too few. The kids are many. It's not going to work. She refused to listen. She was like, oh, if I'm able to do this and this, you guys should be able to do that and that. And we're like, you don't even teach anyone. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, honestly. But yeah, so finally I walked out. I don't know about my colleagues, but I walked out. I actually walked out. I sent, my mother helped me draft my resignation letter, and I quit. Like I was done, and she refused to pay me. And up to now, I have not been paid. Like up to now. And a cousin of a friend of mine was telling me, but if you ever decide to take them to court, you just tell me. And I was like, nah. I don't even think it exists anymore. So but yeah, that's what actually made me start my own private practice, because I was like, but what I miss about work is people, like the people around. Now, don't get me wrong, because I'm gonna come back with some other stories about people around. Now, the thing about the Kenyan corporate culture that I'm learning about from people's stories, from my own stories, is people transferred the high school culture and brought it into the work setting. So, and the people in charge of the work setting are clashing with the younger generations, because the younger generations came out of high school saying, there's no need for all of this was useless, we must move on. And hence why I said the intergenerational conflict, because there's so much content on TikTok, on Instagram, on every social media, on Twitter, on how Gen Zs and boomers are not getting along. Like, there's even a whole hashtag millennial bosses and how amazing they are to Gen Zs. And I realized we also sort of segregated Gen Xs and just clashed them up into the baby boomers. But now what I would love to talk about next is now the intergenerational conflict. Because, let me tell you, people are not having it. Gen Zs and later millennials are just walking out of jobs. I read an article that said Gen Zs are most likely to quit jobs even if they don't have a backup plan, even if they don't have savings or anything. They'd rather just go. And some people called it careless, but I think, and there are other people who said they're just setting boundaries, and millennials are just sitting there just like, wow. And like people, companies that seem to be thriving more and creating workspaces that are tolerable for employees seem to be people who are the Gen Xs, and I'm gonna say some, and I'll explain after the break. Some Gen Xs and millennials, because I think there's an understanding that they do not want to repeat what their boomer bosses did. But for those companies that still have baby boomers in the lead positions, there's a bit of a problem. But before we get to that, let's have a little break, listen to some good music. It's Crazy by Ruguru, and I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. It's Mental Health by Anastasia on Radio 254.
Hitting on her, is it maybe I can take the blame. Tell me, are you playing games? Calling out your bullshit. I know, 'cause you've been acting so different. Tell me what I gotta do. All I want is the truth. Why you keep on calling me crazy when something's clearly going down? And why you keep on calling me crazy? And why you keep on calling me crazy when something's clearly going down? And why you keep on calling me crazy? Why? Used to be me and you still live together. I can feel you floating away. Open up your heart, pour out your love to me. Don't you tear us apart. Something must be going on with you, boy. You better tell me why. Oh, you know something must be going on. You crazy. You better talk to me, boy. You keep calling me crazy, crazy. No, you know I'm crazy, no.
We're gonna huff and blow the house down. Tunakamna masasa sijaonekana, aha. Chukua dakika kama tano uite mazima moto tumeshikanare. Wakichelewa watapata tundi moshi imebaki juu. Maji haitoshi kuzima hii beat so smooth, oh so nice. Play it twice. Have a good time.
Are you ready to just go? You got to give me something and I'll give you something back. Are you ready to just go? You got to give me something and I'll give you something back.
Give me 5, it's good to be alive. The sky, it seems so far away, but we know that we've been to the moon and back, and we're sure that nothing's gonna hold us back. Take it easy, say she can easy. You yet to me cheesy, watch and to easy. You make your points come up occupied. I need to keep my mind occupied.
Are you ready to just go? You got to give me something and I'll give you something back. Are you ready to just go? You got to give me something and I'll give you something back.
matana o itema zima moto jitu mashikanare wakiche lewa watapata dundi moshi imebaki juu maji haitoshi kuzima hii beat so smooth oh so nice play it twice have a good time have a good time oh so nice play it twice have a good time
I'm ready to disco. You got to give me something and I'll give you something back. I'm ready to disco. You got to give me something and I'll give you something back.
Creep, yeah, you a creep. Pretty little face, but yeah, the skies are deep. Bones, chains, bleach. Nah, I can see the fangs, you're a leech, yeah. Creep inside me. Please ignite me, let the fire burn rapidly. Running through my veins, crazy free. I just wanna be what I wanna be. If it's too much, just leave. 'Cause baby, you're a creep. Baby, you're a insecurities kinda bleak. Ice cold, weak. Nah, maybe just mistaken for a freak. Creep inside me. Justify me, baby, what I want. Selfishly, give me what I need. Hurry, please.
And we're back. That's Creep by Keisha, and before that was Half and Puff by Just a Band. Welcome to Mental Health by Anastasia on Radio 254. Okay, guys, you will have to forgive me because we're napigona those flu. But anyway, we are back and we're talking about Kenyan corporate culture and the intergenerational conflict. Now, what brought it to my attention was not only the, what is it called, the trends on social media. So my mom is in HR. That's broad, but she's in HR. Let me just say she's in HR because I'm not gonna describe like what she does in its entirety. But she's in HR, and for the longest time I've been able to like listen in on her interview process and how she chooses people, and I realized she's a Gen Xer. She's had her fair share of experience with baby boomers, and she asked me, she was like, I didn't have a problem with people, like with her employees or people she used to employ. And I said, I think there are two types of Gen Xers. There are Gen Xers who just, I feel like their legacy is tied to how similarly they run the company or the corporation in relation to the baby boomers. And then the Gen Xers who come to realize that things change and you must adapt to the change because the type of employee market that you're dealing with won't deal with certain things. So you'll have the Gen Xers where, it's one of those stories where you're 22 and your best friend in the workspace is 55 and you guys are BFFs for life and life is good and she's your mentor but also your best friend, and if you need anything she's there for you or he's there for you. And those are the Gen Xers I'm talking about, the people who are able to understand that, generations change and how you run a company changes. And then there are the Gen Xers who are just hell-bent on sort of imitating their baby boomer bosses and therefore creating a toxic work environment. But I must give kudos kabisa to millennials in like the workspace, millennials in leading positions in the workspace are doing a pretty good job, because a lot of the times the praises that I'm hearing are because of millennial bosses and how they're able to understand, and how there's room for conversation and open door policies and understanding, and the mental health days and all those things that are coming about are because of them. And I need to give them like a really big round of applause, because the reality is Gen Zs have watched their elder, sisters and brothers and the people before them go through such pain and discomfort because of these companies. Also, they've come to realize how disposable they actually are, and that these companies have no loyalty towards their employees, and therefore Gen Zs have never created loyalty towards their employers. That's why nowadays you won't hear Gen Zs trying to create a career. All they're trying to do is find the next best paying place. Like, it's no longer about this is gonna be my career, this is gonna be my space. It's now those ones for, will it pay more? Like, is it going to pay more? Are there more benefits? Can I work from home? I know being remote is now even becoming part of the list of things that Gen Zs are prioritizing when it comes to applying for a job. And therefore, all these other things that seemed to be important 10 plus years ago are no longer important in the workspace anymore. Unfortunately, in Kenya corporate culture, I think we're stuck in time. I think we're stuck in a place where we're stuck in a time where things were different, and you're stuck in a time and dealing with people who are no longer stuck in that time and don't care about that time anymore. And therefore, the corporate culture in Kenya is just horribly toxic. And I'm not saying every company, but there have been complaints of horrible bosses, of being fired, of I know of a story where somebody what happened, so there's a person who was working in a hotel, and the manager was just not right, and the manager just used to fire people just like that, like with no notice, nothing. Like, today you have a job, tomorrow you don't. And you're dealing with a generation where, we're going to talk about it, you're going to be blasted on social media, and therefore they were blasted. As you saw on TikTok, there were these CEOs who are going on rants about how people don't care about companies anymore, and how people don't want to work anymore, which is a lie. If you create a sustainable enough environment for people to work, people will work and they'll be loyal to your company. I know companies in Kenya where people have stayed 6+ years because of just how accommodating the place is, because I think corporates forget to become human, forget that you're dealing with humans and not just resources. You're dealing with people who have things outside of the company. And these CEOs went on a rant saying how, yeah, people don't work, people don't care about the company anymore, nobody prioritizes the company. And the reality is, yes, people don't prioritize the company because it's your goal. No one anymore sits down and says, I want to, 10 years from now, I want to work for this company for the rest of my life. Everybody is like, why is the next best paycheck? I want to be earning this amount by this time. It's now about the amount of money that sits in my pocket and the type of space that's allowing me to make this money. And that's why a lot of people are wanting remote, because in remote, you can create the environment you want. You have some control of how you want your work environment to be. And therefore, a lot of people are looking for remote workspaces. Now, my theory number one as to why I think Kenyan corporate culture has become a bit too toxic, aside from, in addition to the intergenerational conflicts that we're having, especially between the baby boomers and Gen Zs. Number one is Kenya, we still have this innate need to follow authority, and it's crazy. It's the same reason why high schools school was such a pain in the neck, because you were not allowed to question authority. If a teacher was wrong, dare you, correct the teacher. And we then transferred this into the work environment, because I guess it was our comfortable structure. Let me say it was a place of comfort. It was our comfort zone, and therefore we replicated it. Unfortunately, there is also the realization that comes to say, like, why am I even dealing with this? Like, what is the point of dealing with all of this? Because there's the reality that also says that this is a partnership and not I owe you or you owe me thing. You give me money and I give you a service. There's no one who owes the other anything. And that's what a lot of millennials and later Gen Zs and even Gen Xs are coming to realize, that I don't owe anyone anything. As long as I'm being paid, I'm giving them a service. We don't owe anyone anything. And that's the reality people are coming to. But unfortunately, we're still in the era of replicating the high school environment into the workspace. So therefore, if somebody is coming with questions or questioning your authority, you're seeing it as disrespect and not wondering whether it's a place for you to have a conversation or a point for you to introspect. And that level of emotional intelligence is not innate. It's something that you have to learn across the years, which we do not have yet. Another theory that I came up with is actually it's transferring that high school mentality into the workspace, and not just the need to follow authority, but also for the people who had no authority then and get authority now and have this misplaced sense of what is it called, superiority, and therefore do not provide any room for an open door policy where the employees can come and talk to them. And because of that, unfortunately, people are being mistreated in the workspace and feel like they do not have any voice to come and talk about it, which they should. You should feel open enough to come and talk to your boss about a problem you're having, because again, we're all human beings dealing with our own things, and some circumstances can actually make us not work the way we used to, or sort of compromise our work. And just being able to come to your boss and say, hey, this and this is happening, I may need help, becomes a foreign concept because we don't nurture it. We don't nurture such behavior. Now, another unfortunate thing is, because we were not allowed to make mistakes growing up in school, we transfer that into our workspace, and therefore whenever we make mistakes we panic. And it's not to the fault of employees, because there are people who've been fired for making mistakes that were not even necessarily a fireable offense. Yeah, it's fine, you steal from the company, that's a fireable offense. But things like forgetting something or anything that is tied to human nature, forgetfulness, errors, small errors in writing or anything or structure like that, you're then reprimanded so harshly as though it's not human to forget. Yes, there's forgetting over and over again, where somebody has to come and talk to you, and every single time has to check up on you and see whether you're doing something right. But I'm talking about the real silly errors, the petty errors that, the petty problems that people come up with as reasons as to why they come and shout at you. Also, bosses who can't control their anger and start yelling at people. I'm sorry, but if you're in a position of leadership, you have no space to yell at people. It doesn't matter. Like, honestly, it doesn't matter how your day is. These people rely on you for guidance. You have no space to project whatever negative emotions you're having onto the people who are looking up to you. If you're having a hard day, take a day off, come back. Recuperate, and then come back and try and relay your point forward. But you have no authority to be yelling at people. I hear a lot of people who say, even the toxic colleagues, I'm not going to just talk about toxic bosses, toxic colleagues, the colleagues who want to see other people fail because they have an inferiority complex. And yes, I am calling people out like that because it's toxic. I don't know why you would think that making somebody else's life a living hell is something that's fulfilling to you, unless you are threatened by this person's capacity to do their job and feel like they make you look weak. And if that's the problem you're having, that's a you problem and not a them problem. And that's a lot of what we have in the Kenyan corporate culture. I'm not going to say that it's not anywhere else, but I do see a lot of pettiness within the workspace in Kenya. And even the things that we talk about, such as work politics or organizational politics, are not the type of politics that take people anywhere. Organizational politics should be about raises, should be about the goals of the company and who deserves to get the next raise, and networking and things like that. Not who slept with who when, and whether the rumor is true or not. That's just nonsense. And I feel like because of that, there's been a stronger urge and push for companies to allow for remote work, because guys are just genuinely tired. They'd rather go and network in networking events where they don't know anyone else except maybe the founder of the event or the one who is hosting the event, than go to work and actually network from there, because you're going to be dealing with people who are quote unquote threatened by your presence, which doesn't make sense. Those are the people you should be talking to. So the Kenyan corporate culture, how do we now move from this toxic environment? Honestly, I would say I must also applaud Gen Zs for putting up boundaries. I remember there was some time ago, like 3 to 4 years ago, a Twitter conversation that asked, actually it was LinkedIn. Oh, LinkedIn. LinkedIn can make you depressed. But there was a conversation on LinkedIn on whether interns should be paid. And a lot of people said, well, the age differences, you could tell a lot of people from the older generation were saying that interns shouldn't be paid and that the experience is enough. The reality check that I have to give a lot of these people who say interns shouldn't be paid, I'm not saying interns should be given a full salary, but I do think they should be given some form of compensation, because what you're doing is you are segregating those who can't afford to come to work in the name of giving them experience, right? Because an internship now becomes something of privilege. You can only go for an internship if you have some form of income on the side or a parent who is supporting you to give you that money. I do think interns should be given compensation, like honestly, because guess what? They are an extra resource that you didn't have to pay for. Just give them transport money and lunch money and leave them alone. Like, come on. And then it becomes, and then I remember that the point that they were making was that even me, when I was an intern, I wasn't paid. And I'm like, yeah, but when you were in school, you were being paid to go to school. Like, just, it's different now. And I think the reality check that a lot of these companies should come to is, it's changing. There's an evolution happening in the corporate world. You need to adapt to the change, or else you won't have employees. You're dealing with a generation that can tank your stocks in 2 seconds because of a 7-second TikTok that they posted about your company. The same company, the same CEO I was talking about, I don't remember where she's from, but her company itself, the reviews for that company tanked so hard and the stock tanked so hard. They were losing so much money just because of that one video. And that's the generation you're dealing with. And you're refusing to adapt because you're being stubborn and putting your hard work on the line just because you cannot change your point of view on what the workspace should look like. And that's why there are certain places like, I remember when Google had started the policy of you don't have to have a degree to join Google, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, how is that even possible? And now it's even becoming more and more of a thing. Like, you don't have to have a degree to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And guys were like, how is that even possible? But that's adaptation, because you realize that a lot of these people who produce a lot of our products didn't go to school. Segregating them doesn't help anyone. If they have the capacity to do the work or any through the tests that you give them, then give them a job. But we're refusing to adapt. Moreover, the need to fulfill a selfish sense of superiority within the workspace is the thing I need to highlight. Because we are always talking of how high school was crazy and people teachers were crazy and things like that, and students even themselves were not okay, and then you come and bring that same mentality into the workspace where I'm your superior, don't talk to me, don't question me, and you're forgetting that you're my superior to guide me. But just because you've been here longer doesn't mean my ideas don't hold some weight. I may have something you don't know. Please remember, you don't know how to put your PowerPoint presentation into full screen, and I do. That was like the first thing we were taught. Yeah, I can help you and you can help me. It's two-way. Don't act like just because you're in a position of authority you can't be helped. And that's the thing I think millennials are doing so well, because they sit down and have conversations like, do you know how to do this? Yes, I do. And they're like, could you teach me? They're very willing to learn from the younger generations, and that willingness is the reason why Gen Zs and millennials will be friends. Like, it's in the workspace they're going to be friends because they listen to each other. There's an understanding that the work shall be done wherever the person is, whether you're home, on the beach, or where or who, the work is going to be done. There's also another reason why Kenyan corporate culture that I feel is so toxic, and up to now, I think is such a stupid thing. It's how people not necessarily dress but present themselves. So please remember, when was this? 10 to 15 years ago, you couldn't really be a doctor with tattoos. 10 to 15 years ago, I wouldn't be in my profession with my colored hair. For sure, there was no way I was going to be hired or no way I'd start a private practice. 10 to 15 years ago, men couldn't go to work with dreadlocks. They had to shave and then go to work. 10 to 15 years ago, there were so many norms. There are so many current norms that wouldn't have been accepted then. And that's another thing that I'm having a struggle with with Kenyan corporations or international corporations that are in Kenya. Their refusal to adapt to the norms that are there right now. So, remember piercings, even nose piercing, you couldn't have a nose piercing, whether male or female, you couldn't have ear piercings, tattoos showing, colored hair, etc. And now, your boss is the one kwanza with everything that I've just talked about. Neck tattoos till your neck, their piercings until sijui where, they have eyebrow piercings, their hair color is like 5 different colors at the same time. They never wear a suit, they're always wearing like sweatpants and like hoodies. And those are the people you're dealing with now. But there are some corporations that have refused to adapt to that now current norm. And that's also another reason why cultures became so toxic. Now, what can we do? Number one, adaptation. You'll have to adapt or else you just won't have any employees. People will talk about your company outside of the company. They will talk about how they were treated, and word travels fast. I even know right now companies that if you mention their name, even if it's to a Gen X or a millennial, if you say the name, they'll refuse to apply. Like now, applications are not going through anymore because there's word of mouth that has gone around. I will not say the names, but there is. I know of companies that... I know there are horror stories just from word of mouth that I've realized that I don't even want to buy from them because I'm just like, ugh, these people are treated so badly. And word of mouth travels. And we're, again, as I said, we're in the age where a 7-second video will tank your company in a minute. Like, word travels so fast. So you gotta be careful. Adaptation doesn't mean getting rid of your values, but it means checking your values and challenging whether they are the ones that are going to take you forward or they're the ones that are holding you back. And that's what Kenyan corporations need. Another thing is that if you're somebody who is within that toxic culture, within that space, let me tell you, you better learn how to put your boundaries and you better learn how to communicate them. Stop answering work emails past work time. I don't know why we do that. Need to stop doing that. Don't answer work emails past work time. Just don't. You don't have to because you're being paid for a certain amount of time. If you can, leave your work people at work and don't mix work and your social life. If yes, there's 1 or 2 friends that you end up making that become a part of your social life, that's cool, but don't mix it. Number 3, for those who are in a leading position, please encourage an open door policy. There are things our people know out there that you do not. And understanding that you don't know everything is a first step to learning everything. So please, just allow an open door policy. Another thing for employees who are in that toxic workspace, talk to somebody not in the company. And I'm going to say it again. Talk to somebody not, like capital, bold, highlighted, underlined, not in the company. Because fine, you know this person, fine, you trust them, but a lot of the times that doesn't work. So talk to somebody outside the company, but preferably someone in the same sector. Another thing is, guys, you need to start making yourself aware of the Kenyan labor laws because they're hella strict. Like, they're crazy. I think this is the one place where I think we all did it right. Get familiar with the Kenyan labor laws because a lot of the things that you guys are going through are actually illegal. I know there's someone on TikTok who does all this, who teaches on all this, and I've forgotten her name. She's also Kenyan. She teaches on the Kenyan labor laws, and she's really helpful. Like, she's really helpful. Her videos are very short, 2 to 3 minutes max. I don't think she's ever actually figured 3 minutes. I love watching her. If I find the name, I'll post her on my IG. But yeah, make yourself familiar with the Kenyan labor laws. And another thing, the last thing is just open yourself up to the possibility that there could be better. I know this is a Gen Z statement to say, but there is better. Open yourself up to the opportunity or the possibility that there could be better, because you don't have to get stuck in the same cycle that you were in when you were in school. It's not necessary, it's not worth it. If you're not getting your money, if the workspace is not viable, or if the money and the amount of drama you're dealing with are not aligning, or the drama is way more than what you're being paid, just leave. It's okay. And Gen Zs, you guys, you're not lazy. You're very hardworking. I know very many hardworking Gen Zs. Millennials, y'all are doing a really good job. I must clap for you. Gen Xs, wale wanajuanga ku change their mind. You guys are amazing. And yeah, just think about it. Kenyan corporate culture can be really toxic, but there are companies that are really good. I know, I've heard really good things about EABL, but not everybody. I guess everyone has their own experience with companies, but I've heard about EABL and their work environment and how good it is. Where else have I heard? Yeah, I don't remember any other. I just usually hear EABL because a lot of people I know work in EABL. Like, I know a lot of people who work in EABL and barely hear any complaints about the actual workspace. So, hey, you guys can... I guess all of you can apply there. Anyway, it's just about making sure your boundaries are solid and you're making sure you're expressing them. But for sure, allow yourself to be open to the possibility that there could be better and you're not trapped in that space. And you'll be surprised at the kind of amazing workspaces that are actually out there in this Kenya, that will actually pay you for what you're worth. Just stop looking for them in the quote-unquote obvious places. But yeah, that's all I can do for today, guys. I am feeling really unwell, and I hope you guys enjoyed the show. It's gonna be short, just gonna be playing for you guys some music for the rest of the show. But I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves. It's gonna be another long weekend. Get some rest, enjoy yourself, drink some wine and all that. And enjoy everything. If you guys are not going out like me, please grab a cup of cocoa and enjoy a movie. I think I want to go and watch it. What was I watching? Something about butterflies, I think. I don't remember. But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy the show. And for those who are just tuning in, shame on you again. But anyway, it's Mental Health by Anastasia on Radio 254. I hope you guys are okay. Take care, be safe, and trust me, that was always better for you because you are worth it. Make sure you're taking care of yourself, and please, can we social distance again? Because guy, I'm tired. Me, that person who coughed on my neck in Chandarana, I've not forgiven you, because I also think you're also a reason why my cold became worse. But anyway, I hope you guys have a lovely weekend. I shall see you in the next show. Toodles.
If it's too much, just leave. Baby, you're
ukiwa mitumba, mimi kwa maina nisiombua. Nimekuwa nikikujeki kwa muda, ninafanya kazi pale kwa mama wambua. Ukweli mimi menoki macho yako ya hulu. Me and you, we can stick like glue. We can hello, we can go to Kiambu. Please say yes, say you love me true. My dear, just your kick, I might tell you something about the way I feel I love you. My dear Kasioki, come I tell you something about the way I feel I love you. My Kasioki, come and love me. My Kasioki, I love you. My Kasioki, come and love me. My Kasioki, I love you. Handsome boy, always looking nice. I am ready to be your wife. Look at me, I have beautiful smile, and I can cook food of any kind. Na sitasema unipeleke Amerika, mimi hata mudhoko nitakula. Na kama una mimi nitatafuta, juu nimeamua ni Kasioki wa mitumba. Dear Kasioki, come I tell you something about the way I feel I love you. My dear Kasioki, come I tell you something about the way I feel I love you. My Kasioki, come and love me. My Kasioki, I love you. My Kasioki, come and love me. My Kasioki, I love you. Ninakupromisi sitakuathiri, Kasioki wa mitumba, njoo nikupende. Ninakupromisi sitakuathiri, Kasioki wa mitumba, njoo nikupende. Ewe Kasioki, we Kasioki, Kasioki wa mitumba, njoo nikupende. Ewe Kasioki, we Kasioki, Kasioki wa mitumba.